Maybe the scariest stories are the ones told by people who never believed in anything supernatural. The ones who work with numbers, data diagrams. People for whom every sound or flash of light is never a ghost, but a system glitch. That's why I will never forget the story my colleague Mark told me. A story that began with a sentence that made my blood run cold within the first minute. If you ever hear your own voice repeating your thoughts with a delay of a few seconds, run. Don't think. Don't analyze. Just run. He said it completely seriously, without the slightest hint of a joke. I've known Mark for 10 years. He's an experimental engineer. Someone who's spent his entire career working with sensors, atmospheric probes, telemetry. A cold rationalist who can argue for hours about statistical error, but never about spirits. And that is exactly why what he experienced at Station Number 17 cannot be dismissed as fantasy. Station Number 17 is an abandoned research settlement in the middle of empty plains. They once studied infrasound and how animals reacted to geomagnetic storms. After the sudden shutdown in 2003, every building remained standing like a mummified corpse. Nobody continued the project, but we were assigned to go there, remove the old equipment, and prepare the area for a new observation complex. Mark went for 4 days, along with a driver and a technician. But when he came back, he was different. Like something had drained away the part of him that used to be unshakably confident. We were sitting in the office late that night, only the lamp over his desk casting a yellowish light. He stayed silent for a long time, then started speaking quietly, as if afraid someone else was listening. "You have no idea what that place is like," he said. "Just an empty plain, stretching 4 miles. No roads, no paths, nothing but wind that never stops blowing. Like the world forgot anything was ever there." The first day was normal. They settled into an old dorm building where everything still worked. Generator, water, even some of the lighting. The only strange thing was that the lab buildings had metal braces welded across their doors, like someone had sealed them shut in a hurry, as if making sure nothing would get inside. "I figured it was just old equipment, and they sealed the rooms for safety," Mark said. "But later I understood this wasn't safety. This was a border." The worst started on the second day. He and the technician, Jason, were inspecting one of the buildings that used to house the infrasound receivers. Old machines, wires, empty frames, nothing unusual. But when they powered on the portable generator to check the lighting, the lamps flickered for a few seconds, and Mark saw something on the wall. Someone had carved a huge circle there, almost 6 feet across. A perfect ring made of thin scratch marks. "At first I thought it was some old tech messing around," Mark said, "but there was nothing you could make those marks with, and why. Then I realized the scratches weren't random, they wary. Even for human hands." That night things escalated. The dorm had only 3 rooms. The driver slept alone, and Mark and Jason took the 2 rooms next to each other. The cold in the walls was like the concrete still remembered winter. Mark lay down zipped up in his sleeping bag and was drifting off when he heard a voice. His own voice. Not through the wall. Not from the hallway. Inside the room. A faint whisper, but he recognized the tone. It was him, and it repeated his thoughts, but with a delay of 3 or 4 seconds. "I need to check the transformer tomorrow." And then, softly in the dark, "Check the transformer." Mark said he thought he was losing his mind. He lay still, closed his eyes, and thought deliberately. "If this is a hallucination, repeat this too." And the darkness answered. "This too." He looked at the door. The handle shifted, slowly, like someone on the other side was brushing their fingers across it. But the hallway was empty. The next morning he was pale as chalk. Jason looked off too, said he'd heard someone unlocking the dorm entrance during the night. But outside there were no tracks, no signs of anyone. On the 3rd day, they were supposed to open the main building. The one they technically didn't need to enter. But the higher-ups insisted they check every structure, so they cut through the welded metal. When the door fell away, Mark saw a long, empty hallway. But one thing instantly felt wrong. No dust anywhere. Not a single layer, even though the place had stood untouched for 20 years. Like someone had been walking through it just before they arrived. While Jason checked the breakers, Mark entered the control room. Something was on the desk, a small cassette. And beside it, an old GE cassette recorder from the late 80s. Looked like someone had recorded something right before the station shut down. Mark pressed play. First, there was static, then a man's voice. Hoarse, terrified. If someone finds this, don't stay here after dark. It's already repeating more than words. It's learning. The recording cut off with a sudden thud, like someone grabbed the recorder. A few seconds of absolute silence followed, and then a voice Mark will never forget. His own voice. "It's already beside you." Jason ran in, heard part of the recording, and shouted, "Turn that crap off." Mark stopped the tape. Almost instantly, something vibrated in the hallway. Not a sound more like an echo of a thought from a mind that wasn't human. They stayed in the dorm all night without turning off the lights, but the lights flickered, dimmed for a second. Every time they went dark, Mark heard that delayed whisper again, like someone standing behind his shoulder, repeating his thoughts with a hollow, empty tone. Jason said he heard something different. Someone walking beneath the floor, tapping the pipes with their hands, but beneath them was only solid concrete. On the fourth day, they decided to leave early, but when they approached the truck, something was wrong. Dust had been wiped off the hood, not like a handprint, no. Like someone dragged their palm across it, and the metal caved inward. A long dent, uneven, cracked. Mark told the driver they needed to leave now. But things got worse. As soon as they sat in the truck, the radio turned off the entire time. Clicked on, filled with static for a moment. Then a voice said, "Stay." A woman's voice, but completely flat, emotionless, like text spoken by a machine. Jason turned the radio off. 10 seconds later, it powered on by itself. "Stay." The driver started the engine so fast he nearly snapped the key. The truck jolted forward and tore across the plains, kicking up waves of dust. Halfway back, Mark glanced in the rearview mirror. He claims he saw a silhouette standing on the roof of the main building. Faint, like it was made of fog, and it was watching them leave. Mark returned to the city silent, exhausted, but the real horror happened the next night. He woke up at 3 a.m. and heard someone whispering his thoughts, with that same few-second delay. It had followed him home. Mark called me at 4 in the morning, his voice shaking. "I think it's trying to understand me. It's learning. It doesn't repeat exact words anymore. It builds sentences, like it's copying how I think." He hadn't slept in 3 days. He chugged coffee just to stay awake. He said that if he fell asleep, he would feel the voice whispering right into his ear. "You don't get it," he told me. "It's like it wants to take my place." 3 days later, Mark disappeared. His apartment looked untouched, except for the mirror in the hallway. It wasn't shattered outward, but pressed inward, as if someone pushed their fingers into the glass from the inside. Neighbors said they heard a voice that night, but it wasn't Mark's. It was a voice repeating phrases. With an echo, the police said he ran away from stress, but I know he didn't run. That same week, I received an email at work. Sender unknown, subject 17. Just a 3-second audio file attached. I played it and heard my own voice. Soft, whispering with a delay. "You hear me too."